this loss of faith brought about, not necessarily even just in the Christian God and everything our society was cohered around through the institutions, but all of the institutions themselves.
Yes.
Is there anything that can save that? Because the crisis of confidence.
Well, are you asking me to engage in political and social activism?
No.
I am an observer. I don't. When you see, as I feel I have done through the work that I've done over the past 25 years writing about this, when you see the extent and depth and height and breadth of this thing, the idea that any individual or any group of individuals working to try and prevent it could have any effect on it is comical. It's gigantic. It's like a tsunami, and a child standing on a beach with a sandcastle is more what anybody who tries to oppose it is like. You will be overwhelmed. It's enormous. One of the problems with it is that people like it. It has liberated people from an awful lot of restraints, which when they'd cast them off, they decided they had never had any point in the first place and they were unwelcome. And there's this extraordinary thing. If you switch off an electric device, then it stops working instantly. If you engage in a moral revolution, then there is a long, long period of afterglow during which things continue as they were before, or appear to do, though they're gradually fading. And by the time you realize that you have lost something forever, it's far too late to go back on the actions which caused it to disappear. You can destroy a taboo or custom which has been in existence for centuries in an afternoon, but you cannot then replace it again. You can't say, well, that was a mistake, we must put it back. Once it's gone, it's gone. And people, as I say, the great banner of the new age is not atheism, it's not Marxism-Leninism, it's what I call selfism. It's what its own supporters call personal autonomy, the freedom to do as you wish, which doesn't have any, for most people, it doesn't have any philosophical or political basis. It's just, why can't I do what I like with my own body, put whatever drugs into it I wish, have whatever relations with other people I wish to have? That's let's just order everything on the basis of the harm principle and let me decide what I do that is harmful and what I do that isn't harmful, and nobody else. And that is the society we've created. And in such societies, more or less selfless attitudes such as serious patriotism, not to mention Christianity, are unsustainable. People are they're not even interested in them anymore.
So would you subscribe to, and I don't know when he said this, the Churchill quotation when he said, "Nothing can save England if she will not save herself. If we lose faith in ourselves, in our capacity to guide and govern, if we lose our will to live, then indeed our story is told."
It's a political statement. Churchill, I don't think Churchill was a Christian believer. There's no evidence that he was. It's a political statement about rallying people to a temporal cause. When he was in office, certainly to begin with, the country was in mortal danger, and therefore he had a very strong loudspeaker through which to communicate with the nation. So if either you listen to me, or we're done for. That's not the case now, is it? And there is from peril comes power. And we're not in the sort of peril which would enable anyone to accumulate or draw to themselves the sort of power which Churchill got, even to influence people's minds. So no, it's not to be mistaken for a political problem. The political problems were long ago, and most of the time they were going on, people didn't have any idea that they were going on or what they meant, as they generally don't. The world goes on around most people, especially those who have no Marxist-Leninist training. It just goes on around them, and they have no idea what's happening. And by the time they find out what has happened, it's far too late to do anything about it.
Well, you've touched a lot, and you've written a lot about England, Britain, the hard-won liberty on these isles, the country's cultural achievements and legacy, and their subsequent loss. What was the high watermark of the country's culture, and what are its lows, and why ought we lament it?
Oh, that's nostalgia, which I don't express. There are many highs and many lows. It doesn't come in a sort of incremental, slowly constructed way. There have been a number of things which have gone well, and a number of things which have then gone badly. So that the development of those laws protecting the freedom of speech, for instance, is quite shaky in law, and has almost entirely collapsed in recent years under various assaults. Both the speech codes of the new dominant class, which are hostile to free speech, and the willingness of governments to classify certain opinions as extremist or far this or far that, which makes them harder to express. So things which technically still exist don't operate. One of our greatest documents of actual liberty and limited government, the Bill of Rights, is so forgotten that we recently had a prime minister who didn't know it existed, and it doesn't operate if it prevents governments, for instance, from punishing people without trying them. But our governments do this all the time. And the Bill of Rights is, you can shout about it if you like, but nobody will pay any attention. The courts have pretty much decided it doesn't apply anymore. But technically, it's still a sort of entrenched statute written on vellum and stored away in the archives. But it doesn't apply because we simply haven't, as a people, got the spirit anymore to defend it. So things can still be in the letter of the law, which don't operate because of the spirit. So up and down it goes, and there's been no particular sort of paradise time when it was better than at any other, nor peak. Life isn't like that. There are a number of moments at which things have gone particularly well for liberty, as they did during the glorious revolution of 1688. And other times when they went very badly subsequent to that, the awful repressions of the Napoleonic era governments, which were after that. So no, I don't clutch at some ideal point when things were at their best, because it never existed. It never will. This is human society. It's again, if you read through the Old Testament, the constant downfall of the children of Israel as they turn away yet again from what they've been told to do by the Almighty. They just they say yes, we'll do it, and everything's fine, and then they stop doing it, and before they know where they are, they're being carted off to Babylon again.
It strikes me of a Tolkien-esque quality to what you're saying, this idea of history being a long defeat, and there are just flashes of victory along the way, but otherwise it trends.
I don't think it's none of those things. It does contain lessons. You can tell very easily when what you're doing is going to have bad results, but getting people to learn those lessons and act upon them is more or less impossible. If it doesn't suit people to learn lessons, then they don't learn them.